Good morning, everybody. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. My name's Donnie, and welcome to the BlackUSA.News morning show, the voice of our people. Just so you know, we have programming 7 days a week, Monday through Friday. The morning show is from 10 to 11 each day. Monday evenings, we have shared spaces with Chap and Quita. Tuesday night, I do the Donnie Glover show. Wednesday night, Sister Biz. You got to check out that Sister Biz. Where Chap and Shared Spaces on Monday, they highlight a lot of community leaders around the Baltimore area. Sister Biz, it's a business show, but they have no hesitation to jump in on the political. And that's very important because I want everyone to understand the interrelationship of politics and economics. They call it political economy, the interrelationship of politics and economics. And I think that's something that Sister Biz is very good at. A lot of times in our community, we vote for people without an ask. We vote for people and never fully question their agenda. So when the people we vote for get in there and don't serve the community, then a lot of times we're looking cock at it. Thursday nights, we have Black Business Roundtable with Doug Blacksher. This is our show live from Oakland, California. And in the same vicinity, East Bay area, we have Kamal Hubbard on Friday nights with Black Crypto News. Saturday mornings, 10:15 a.m., Tasmere gathers, coming live from New York City. Tasmere is a young dynamo on the scene, and she's not hesitating to bring the heat in with respect to business. She owns the DM firm, and I met Tasmere working with the Black Business Economic Commission in Harlem, and she's nothing but the truth. She's the future. She's the future of this network, if you ask me. And on Sundays, last but not least, we have Mr. Haney, Mike Haney, and he comes with 60 Minutes in Black USA. As for me, Donnie Glover, I've been a journalist since '94. I was the co-editor of the Sandtown Winchester Viewpoint. Tried my hand at a couple of other publications, wrote for some citywide publications here in Baltimore. Also did some writing for the Final Call. And as I wrote, the ink pen started opening up other doors, including radio. I did about 21 years out of Radio 1 doing a show. And WEAA, been on WEAA since I was 15 years old, thanks to Charlie Duggar, off and on different stints. But I'm on tonight, every Thursday night, midnight with Mike Nice, DJ Mike Nice. They call him Nice and Nasty. But at 12 o'clock, we're talking politics, no hip hop, no music, even though the show is Hip Hop Chronicles. So, and I do, there's a lot of hip hop I love, as do you. So that's our lineup. We're going to be talking today with a young man running for county executive in Frederick. I was in Frederick not long ago, and let me tell you, that's certainly not Baltimore City. No, what I remember seeing out there more than anything was we're in Baltimore. People are very mask conscious. The particular location, I was at a buffet. People didn't seem to be very mask conscious. Some people were, a lot of people no masks. And so that's going to be something we speak with Daryl Boffman about. He's a former captain in the U.S. Army. Thank you for your service, sir. And he's also a noted entrepreneur there in Frederick. So we'd love to get your comments. Do drop them in the comment section. Give us a thumbs up, preferably a thumbs up. Like us, share us. And if you give me a moment, I want to check on my guests because they seem to be lost. Well, it's 10:05. So just bear with me a second. Okay, thank you. Technical difficulties. So take a moment and plug this book. I'm very proud of this. Did a lot of research on in it. Have some see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages of references and notes in the back. And that's very important because you never want to just put information out there and not back it up. But we back up all of it. I'll share a blurb with you. The purpose of the I Am Black Wall Street Foundation, that's the foundation that we're growing, is to preserve our history and to help empower Black business owners and those who support them, no matter race, creed, nor national origin. So we've been giving away these Black Wall Street Awards. Let me show you one of them. For the past 10 years. And lo and behold, when we started, no one knew that it would coincide with the 100th anniversary of Tulsa's Black Wall Street. But these are the Black Wall Street Awards. This is one from 2017, that Professor Ron Collins, he came to the event, but before I looked up, he was gone. So this is a Coppin State professor. But these are the awards. We've given away over nearly 1,800 of them in 12 U.S. cities, mostly in New York and Atlanta. I'm working on a trip now to Atlanta. We had a wonderful time in Harlem. Oh, I love New York. Oh, it's like plugging in my phone into the outlet to get some juice. That's how I feel after I eat in New York and on my way back. I don't know. Do you have a motivating place? Do you have a place that you go to get motivated? When I leave New York, I'm pumped. And Harlem gave me nothing but love. Oh, we even had a little sit-down meal at Melba's. I had never been to Melba's. No, not Melba's on Greenmount. Melba's in Harlem. Couldn't decide on what to what to eat. So I ended up getting the fried chicken. You ever want to gauge a restaurant? Check out their fried chicken. It was like mom's. Well, Marsha Jews, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm here.
Good. So, Marsha, Healthy Doses is a monthly series of conversations, seminars hosted on the STEM City USA platform, sponsored by Boston Scientific, that will focus on health and well-being. Mental health is everything, Marsha.
It's huge. And, I think finally people are actually starting to talk about mental health and what the issues really are in our communities. And so I think this is a powerful, powerful opportunity for people to spend time in learning more about what we should do. I know growing up in South Bend, Indiana, we knew that people were having problems. We could see it, their behaviors and things that they were doing. We knew, but nobody really wanted to talk about it. They would just sort of brush it off and make it light and, but their trauma and all of that is a lot, and we have to address it.
Let's go straight to the city of Baltimore. Clearly, I'm going to presume, Marsha, that you've never killed anybody.
Well, no, I haven't actually done that.
Well, I've never killed anybody, but let me tell you, Marsha, I know people who have, and we've seen war movies. I'm talking about that post-traumatic trauma. No matter how you play it, shake it, flip it, twist it upside down, when you take another life, that's something that sticks with you for life. It stays with you for the rest of your days.
Mm-hmm. I think too that hold on one second. She's on, but she's not. Do you see where you can see her? She's sending a text.
No.
Okay. You're at the right time. So I thought it was 10 Eastern, and that's, I don't know what to tell her.
Well, let's just keep going. So let's go to, I think we went a little too far before we get this Boston Scientific. Tell me, are you with me?
Yeah.
About Tyrone Taborn's STEM City USA.
Oh my gosh. STEM City USA is a virtual environment where you can actually, it's set up like a city. And you can literally see a convention center. It's all, what do you call it?
Virtual.
It's all not cartoons, but it's all a virtual environment, right? And so, and you're moving through that space. So the camera will actually take you through those buildings. So if you see the big building, it has all the signage. There are other buildings that look like a downtown area. When you go into the convention center, there's a lecture hall. And so you actually see it. You see all of the chairs, like you're sitting in an auditorium, there's a stage. And when you bring people in, it's similar to what you're seeing here. We're having a conversation, but we're also, well, and here's the founder of STEM City, Tyrone Taborn, Dr. Tyrone D. Taborn, the CEO and founder of Career Communications Group, Black Engineer of the Year Awards Conference. Well, wait, let me back up, because Tyrone Taborn created Black Engineer magazine with Dr. Deloach from Morgan State University 30 plus years ago, right?
That's right.
And
that's right.
Then he created Hispanic Engineer. Then they created Black Engineer and Information Technology magazine. In between all that, they created the Black Engineer of the Year, which is fondly called BEA. And that's been around for 30 plus years. Then he decided, okay, well, we've done that. Let's see. Then Larry Irving wrote a report called Falling Through the Net. So then Tyrone Taborn and the team at Career Communications Group created Black Family Technology Awareness Week, then La Familia Technology Awareness Week, and then First Family Technology Awareness Week. And in between all that, they then created Women of Color magazine, and then they created Women of Color Conference. So welcome, Dr. T, because you are the leader in STEM and diversity for people of color. And, you know, with all the years that I've been friends with you, I'm grateful to see what you have done and what you've accomplished for thousands of Black and brown people. So thank you, sir.
Well, thank you. I had not planned to come on the show. I was just listening. And I saw that Deepa was having some technical challenges. She's out in California. So I know she's up and I know she must be heartbroken. So I said, let me hop in here.
Thank you. Wow, there she is.
Oh, there's Deepa. Okay, Deepa, you got me off the hook. I came in. I heard your backfield, Deepa. So I'm gonna hop off. But let me say this before, since I'm here. First of all, Donnie and Marsha, thank you all for your absolute commitment to the community. From your long, you know, Marsha has a long background in healthcare, and I'm not going to even talk about that right now. I don't want to bring nightmares up, but that's an inside joke. But in any case, what is so important is the things that disproportionately attack all our communities, not just the Black community, not just the Hispanic community, but all of our communities that are disproportionately hit, a lot because of income, a lot because folks don't have access to food, and more importantly, they don't have access to good medical care. You know, if something happens with me, my doctor's on speed dial. You know, if I text him, he's going to text me back in probably 15 minutes. When my son got sick, guess who showed up at the emergency room? State Senator Shirley Nathan Pulliam. She said, "Oh, what's happening to my tie? You know, to my son." How many people say, "Oh, the state senator from Maryland is in the emergency room," and she said, "No, I'm here because I'm a nurse." But she's there because she loves. But who has access to stuff like that? People be in that emergency room for 11 hours. So I'm just here to tell you, I am so proud of our relationship with Deepa and Boston Scientific, and this information of things that are killing us every single day, and what her company's doing in an attempt to reach out. So we're kicking off in STEM City this whole series of healthcare. That's a main issue, Donnie, is healthcare and bringing that information and bringing professionals so people we can help them demystify all of this stuff, because with that information can make a huge difference. But I want to tell you something. We're trying to get Donnie, so he's on our platform, on the STEM City platform all the time. We're working those deals out. But I do want to tell you what's happening next week. I just decided to do it, so nobody knows about it. I'm announcing it here on your show. Next weekend, free to the public, the STEM City Jazz Fest, sponsored by Women of Color Job Fair, sponsored by Amazon Jacobs. Now, let me tell you, all next week in STEM City, in the David Stewart Jazz Club in STEM City, you will have Beth. You will have, there's so many names, I don't even have it. I'm just announcing it. You will have, let me try to pull this up real quick. You will have Michael Linton, Lington. He will be performing. You will have Maysa, Maysa. She will be performing live in the STEM City Weekend Jazz Fest that will take next week. The violinist, Demola. I don't want to abuse these names. So anyway, he will be there. The comedian, Elisa Cooper. You've seen her on all kinds of television shows. Then every morning, starting next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, you will have a Wake Up in STEM City, sponsored by the Women of Color Job Fair. You will have Wake Up from 7 to 8 o'clock with DJ Silver Knight. So anyway, Marsha and you guys, I don't know, I'll get that out to you so you can have it. But this is, can you imagine the lineup we have? All of this is free. So I'll get a bright link out. We start pushing this, all free, top of the line jazz. And why are we able to do this? Because of people like Deepa and the other companies. They're paying for all of these entertainers to be in the Women of Color piece. So we said, well, if they're performing in Women of Color, the magic of technology, you can be in places at one time. Simulcast it, Donnie, over in the jazz club at the same time, and make that available to tens of thousands of people, because we can't let them on Women of Color, because, you know, I mean, honestly, the registrations are like, you know, $600, $1,000 for people to come. And, you know, we got to keep the lights on. So the Women of Color, we can't let everybody come on that platform, but we can bring parts of that element to STEM City and make it public. So it is going to be wonderful. It's the first STEM City Jazz Fest, and it's going to be out of this world. So I'm just announcing it this morning, and so we can thank Deepa for having some technical challenges, because I would not have said it today. Well, Deepa, we're not going to blame you. It's my fault. I don't know it doesn't matter, but we're all here. So
yes, we are all here. Yeah.
We're all here, and that's the beauty of technology and the beauty of family. And, you know, what I say about technology, it's a big, giant experimental tube. It's a lab. We continue to work on it, and we're making it work. And here's the final part that I want to say as we go into this. We're still in construction with STEM City, exactly because of we want to test, we want to get it right before we open it up to the entire world. But the platform is up, the platform is moving. Senator Ben Carton, he did his town hall in STEM City a month and a half ago. Of all the places our senator could have gone, he did it on STEM City.
Yeah.
National Naval Officers Association held a 5-day seminar. Now, Marsha can tell you about this. This is all of the top minority officers in the sea services, the Marines, the Navy, the merchant servant, all of them on our platform.
Mm-hmm.
And who else? All of the leaders, the people you see on CNN, talking about, all of the militaries, those people were on the platform because they spoke. So we had that. We've been having career days, Donnie, every month. We've brought out pilots and doctors and folks. So this healthcare, this healthy dose, sponsored by Boston Scientific, is again just another leg of the show that is critical to all of our community. I'm sick and tired of. I got to tell you personally, I'm sick and tired of many of us, particularly men and men of color, who never lived long enough to collect Social Security. Pay all your lives, you don't live long enough because of things we could do to help keep us going. But then, even if that's not the case, you got companies like Boston Scientific that can fix you. So, we're all going to have broken parts. We all have to be fixed at some point. So the fact that they even care and the speakers that they're bringing out tomorrow, boy, oh boy, oh boy, important information. All right, I'm out of here, guys. You've got the real boss. You've got Deepa here, and she is really a true trooper, and she's a warrior, and I'm just glad she's part of our team.
Doc, you gotta tell us how you found Boston Scientific. Come on, tell us that one piece.
What's that? Say that again. You broke up.
How did you find Boston Scientific?
Oh man, let me tell you.
You're breaking up, Donnie.
Yeah, I met their CEO first, and Boston Scientific was actually brought to me. They have a vice president. Her name is Camille, and all of a sudden the last name's Gilmore. I think it's Gilmore. All of a sudden I just forgot Camille's last name. She's such a personal friend of mine from her IBM days. Marsha, she used to work on the Black program. Okay, so Camille went over there as the vice president, and she has diversity among many of her other duties. So when they came there, she had a great CEO. His name is Mike Mahoney. And Mike said, look, we're going to make a difference. And they came to me.
Okay, Doc, we gotta leave. Go ahead and say something, Deepa. I don't want to waste time.
All right, let me hop off of this. Listen, just a great company, and we can talk about this more.
Okay. Come on, Deepa.
I'm sorry. I know I was supposed to join between 7 and 7:15. I got into the wrong link, looks like it, but I'm here now. I have a couple of minutes, but very excited to be a part of the show. Thank you so much for inviting me, Marsha and Donnie.
So come on, Deepa, get into it. Tell us about healthy choices.
All right, fantastic. So Boston Scientific has partnered with CCG Mag and STEM City USA, and as a part of that, we are going to kick off a series of health doses. Our first event is tomorrow, and I am going to request everyone to join this live event. We have some distinguished speakers from Boston Scientific, chief medical officers from endoscopy, from neuromodulation, from peripheral interventions, and our chief diversity officer, Camille Chang Gilmore, talking about why it's important to learn about health and wellness. and how it's impacting most of our BIPOC community. And we saw that it was very evident during the COVID-19 when all our the BIPOC community was most impacted. So we want to educate, empower, and engage with our BIPOC community via these sessions. We will be bringing various industry experts during these series, and it's an opportunity for everyone to get on live, ask questions at the end of the show. So very excited about it. Register for the event on STEMcityUSA.com. It's tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern.
Good deal.
You know, there's an age-old saying, health is wealth. So let's make sure we get our health in control, and then everything else will follow.
Deepa, what does the rest of the world know that the United States does not know about dealing with COVID?
Repeat the question because you're breaking up. Sorry.
Why is America so slow on dealing with COVID?
I think one that we were not aware of what's coming at us, and in general, you know, there is not enough education around, and I think we are more susceptible. The cleaner the country, the less we are exposed to bacteria and viruses, which is a good thing, but then it hits us very fast. And I think we just did not know how to deal with a situation like this. I'm not saying the other countries were in a better situation, but they kind of dealt with it sooner and quicker. It hit America first, and we just did not deal with it in a timely manner.
Good stuff. Marcia, anything before she goes?
With us real quickly what your position is at Scientific and what you hope to accomplish by participating in Women of Color and Black Engineer.
Yeah, so I am running the global supply chain planning as a director of global supply chain planning for the pain management business for Boston Scientific. I've been in supply chain for over 16 years now. It's my passion, and I think being in supply chain, we have this amazing ability to impact the people and the planet. That's exactly what I want to talk about. And being in supply chain was not two things. One is how we are impacting the people and the planet, being in supply chain, and also being a woman in supply chain. Born and raised in India, moving to the US and making a mark here is something that I feel passionate about, and I hope I can encourage more women to take up supply chain as their major.
That's why Women of Color is so important. Could you briefly give us what the audience can look forward to for the panel and the panelists that are on there? What's the expectation for the event tomorrow?
The event tomorrow is all about learning about the prevalent disease states, specifically in the Black community. So we have 4 speakers, all chief medical officers across different divisions in Boston Scientific. They will be focusing on one topic each, on obesity, on the lack of diversity in clinical trials, and what is being done to get ahead of it. And our chief diversity officer talking about why it's important to be educated about health and take control of your health, and why Boston Scientific is so passionate about it. And at the end, they will all come together and the audience will have an opportunity to ask questions about these different topics. So it's live. It's going to be an opportunity for everyone to ask these learned people questions directly and take control of their health.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Deepa,
Johnny,
taking time out. We know it's early. Thank you.
No, thank you so much for having me on the show. I look forward to tomorrow's event.
Yes, nice meeting you.
So, Marsha, you're going to have to get me a get out of jail free card, because we were supposed to bring the captain on, the U.S. Army captain, like 15 minutes ago. So you have to at least say hello to Daryl Boffman.
Hello, Captain. How are you?
Good morning, Marcia. And good morning, Donnie. Thank you for having me on the show.
Good deal. He's up in Frederick, Marcia.
Oh, yeah. That's interesting. How'd you get to Frederick? How'd you get?
I hope you got your.
How have you done an audit?
Did you take a census? Yeah, he took a census. He know where he at.
But it's beautiful country up there.
Oh, wow.
It's actually one of the Maryland's best kept secrets.
Mm-hmm. It's very.
You know, Marcia, that's kind of like the comment. He speaks well. It's beautiful country.
I like his presentation. But he knows he's been in the military, Department of Navy. So what branch were you in? What were you doing while you were in the Navy?
I was in
Army.
the U.S.
Army. Okay, forgive me for that. So Army guy, huh?
Yes. And I believe Donnie has me on because I'm in Frederick, but I'm not just in Frederick. I am trying to make a difference in Frederick. I am actually running for a county executive.
Wow.
2022.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Marcia, this is where you can say, well, you know, I'm going to leave now, or you can stay around and watch the fireworks.
Well, yeah, I think I'll watch the fireworks because he has an agenda, and I know you all are already planned this out. So it was great meeting you, and at some point we should be talking. So I'll get your information from Donnie.
Thank you, Marcia. I look forward to speaking with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your patience there, Captain. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here. It's been interesting so far.
Oh, yeah. The left Dr. Tyrone Taborn, and just so you know, his Black Engineer of the Year Awards, and that's been around well over 30 years, they attract, you know, the in-person events, attract generals, admirals, high-ranking U.S. officials, and it's just a magnanimous collection of some of the best and brightest minds who happen to look like you and I in all branches, you know, across. I think they've even had Coast Guard there in years past. And he has two magazines, Black Engineer Magazine and Hispanic Engineer Magazine. But again, the BEYA, B-E-Y-A, Black Engineer of the Year Awards is so phenomenal. And Marcia herself has worked with a lot of these Black elected officials, including some of your military counterparts in various branches. But let's get to it. You're Black for county exec in Frederick, and that ain't the blackest part of town. Talk to me.
Well, you know, this is not my first rodeo, Donnie. I was actually the first African-American elected to a countywide position in Frederick County when I ran for school board back in 2002. And I ran again in 2006 and won again. So Frederick County is familiar with my face. They're familiar with my leadership skills and my contributions to this community.
Mask or no mask?
I'm sorry?
Mask or no mask?
I think we should wear a mask. We need to do whatever we need to do to get beyond this pandemic so we can get back to some sense of normalcy.
I'm glad to hear that, because when I came up there a few Sundays ago, I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, well, I mean, we do have some people here on both sides of that issue.
Yeah, I was too far from North Avenue to talk any smack. You know, I'm too far away from home. You know, it's.
With Donnie, you have to be Donnie wherever you go, and if you have something to say, you should always be free to say it.
Frederick, different story. Eastern Shore, different story. Too far from North Avenue. The Bay Bridge is a long run to North Avenue. Now, I like to, you know, you're in somebody else's neck of the woods and they do things possibly differently.
That's true. That is true.
What makes you want to be county executive?
Well, I've been in Frederick for 31 years and I have had a very fruitful life here. from raising my kids to owning a home to starting and running a successful business to serving the community. It's all been great. We've had a change from a commissional form of government to a charter form of government. And the current county executive started things off on the right foot, I believe. She's put in place a lot of good policies and procedures that can help the county to grow. The fear is that with all the progress we've made, the wrong person in that seat could take us backwards. And all the great things that we enjoy about Frederick County, as well as the good things that I'm planning to bring into Frederick County, would not be there. So I wanted to step up to the plate and take my leadership skills, all that I've known and what I've done in this county, from serving on the school board, serving on the Chamber of Commerce. I'm currently serving on the board for Frederick Health Hospital. I've served on the board of trustees for the college, the board for eliminating achievement gaps. So I've had a lot of experience in helping to move Frederick County forward. Now I see an opportunity to do it in a much bigger role.
Okay, well, let's go a little deeper. Now, by the way, on the ticker, Marsha was so kind to put in the information, the Stars and Stripes Gala. Matter of fact, Marsha, why don't you just explain this so the man's not left hanging? What are Stars and Stripes? Because we never know about it.
So the Stars and Stripes is an organization within
the Black Engineer of the Year. It started out with several 4-star generals retired that we're talking about. There's engineering, and there are other things that the military does. So don't get so focused just on people being deployed, right? And what that looks like in a war environment. But that, you know, like right now, we've got General Austin sitting over there at DOD, right? And so he's a part of Stars and Stripes. And so, and you probably know every one of those people if I started naming Johnny Wilson and all those other folks that have been around for a long time, right? But it's all services. So you have admirals, you have folks from the Navy, you have folks from the Air Force, Lyle, General Lyles. You have, I mean, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-star generals. If there's a 5-star, and they also have people who are non-commissioned people who attend. And they talk about what should be happening with the troops. They talk about what should be happening from an educational standpoint. They cover everything. They have their own meetings. They have an awards program. It's huge. It's
Let me cut
huge.
you there for a minute, Marsha. Why should the captain send the young people from Frederick County to Bayeux?
So first of all, you have people like Boston Scientific, but also Lockheed Martin, General Motors, General Dynamics. Oh my gosh, everybody, Boeing, IBM. There's at least a couple of hundred, Raytheon Corporation. Every major Fortune 100 corporation is there. They have workshops, seminars. You can learn leadership. You can learn the latest technologies. You can learn how to manage a group of people. I mean, the whole gambit is huge. And young people, there's a whole program for college students as well as high school students. And a lot of times, especially with Stars and Stripes, they bring them in and have a whole panel discussion with all of these generals sitting on the dais, and they allow questions and what have you. But they also have a program specifically for them where all of those major corporations that we're talking about set up and plan programming in the career fair specifically for high school and college students to have those discussions with those people who are making decisions and giving them ideas and concepts of how they should be focusing on who they need to be and how they need to be doing that.
Marsha,
and there's a lot of people that look like us.
You did a great job, Marsha. Thank you.
Shelley, you want me to hang up now?
Yeah, just fall back. Okay, so there you have it, Dr. CCG Mag, and you saw Dr. Tyrone Taborn on there. Okay, so what's your platform for county exec for Frederick?
Well, so there are several issues and concerns that I hold dear to my heart, and not just because I believe they're issues of concern, but because I have spent time in each one of them, and so I truly understand the issues and concerns. First being education. As I mentioned before, I served on a school board for 10 years, but I've also served on the superintendent's cabinet in the school system, so I understand both sides, and so I'm aware of the issues and concerns associated with education, not just pre-K through 12, but even higher ed. As I mentioned, I sat on the board of trustees for Hood College. Education is the foundation of any community. And so if we can create an opportunity for our students to be successful academically, that sets them up for that next level of success in their careers.
Well, let me just get in there. Here in Baltimore City, they're saying that 40% of our young people have a 1.0 GPA. What's the what's the state of academics in Frederick County?
Well, now you have to look at before the pandemic and during the pandemic. There's a huge difference. Before the pandemic, Frederick County's academic performance has been above both the state and national averages in just about every category. And I'll tell you, when I was on the school board, that wasn't the case. When I first started, minority students were performing at a much lower level than the rest of the school system. But as a result of sitting at the table and having the discussions, we were able to change some things in our schools in Frederick County. And as a result, we actually eliminated achievement gaps in many of our schools here in Frederick County. Now, since I've left the school board, we now have in Frederick County, Donnie, 2 African-American males sitting on a school board in Frederick County, 2 out of 7. So, I mean, we're marking the field.
Unprecedented.
Unprecedented. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I'm pushing in my campaign is small businesses, because for any community to be successful economically, you have to have a sound small business base. Now, why do I say that? Typically, Donnie, small business owners, and I'm speaking again from experience because I've run a business for 15 years, a small business, and we provided solutions to companies across the country, including Fortune 500 companies. Having that business allowed me to purchase a nice home in the community, to hire people in the community, to give them good paying jobs and benefits so they can afford health care, so they can afford to live in the community. I served on boards because I had the ability to direct my own time, and I contributed to nonprofit. All those things help to develop a community. So if you can imagine, if you had more successful small businesses in your community, all the great things that could come out of that. And one of the things I have a problem with is a lot of times people are saying, especially in the Black community, go and get a good job. Well, why not start talking to our young people about go and start a good business? I mean, getting a good job, great. All right. But real independence comes from owning your own business, because you don't have to ask anybody, can I take off to do certain things I need to do? You don't have to ask anybody, can you pay me the salary that I need to be successful? You can control your own destiny. And it's not as difficult as people make it sound.
Well, that's why I want you. That's why I want you to know Marsha and Dr. Tyrone Tate on here, because this man, as he built Career Communications Group, you know, he's a couple of days older than me, so I'm new to the game. But in watching his example and watching his trajectory, you know, he's taught me to think beyond Baltimore. While he did his Black Engineer of the Year conference here for 25 years straight, he's also done it in other places like DC, like Philadelphia. He does the Women of Conference Atlanta in Texas. He brings in people from around the world. So for me, running a Be More News, to have a big brother who's doing things around the world makes me think more globally. And he's an entrepreneur. I mean, to wake up and make your own schedule. And by the way, what industry are you in, Captain?
I was in the wireless engineering industry. Yeah. My company was the first company nationwide to successfully design and deploy converged wireless infrastructures to allow cell phone coverage for all the major carriers, plus wireless LAN on a single infrastructure in the hospitality industry.
I'm a little slow. Can you say that in layman's terms?
Yes. So we made it possible for people to use their cell phones in hotels, whether they were in the basement level or on the 60th floor throughout the property. We were the first to put those systems successfully in the hospitality industry. And as a result of that, Donnie, I have a son who's an electrical engineer. When I had my business, I hired more minority engineers and got them oriented into this industry than any other company in the industry. And I had not only Black engineers, I had Hispanic, I had Asian. I mean, I had engineers from all around the world, women engineers, which is also rare because they're all capable. We just have to give them an opportunity. And again, my son graduated with a degree in engineering from University of Maryland. The other thing, Donnie, is I don't just talk about starting a business. Each one of my children are now looking at starting businesses. Two of them have already, and I have a daughter who's about to start a business because it is that important.
I need your website because people, Jade Renee, she's up in New York City. We got people around the country. We had Andy Havas from Hungary chiming in. What's your website? What's your phone number?
Yeah, my website is www.friendsofdboffman. That's Friends of D, last name B as in boy, O, F as in Frank, MAN.com. That's my campaign website.
Is there phone number?
Phone number is 301-639-7453.
I imagine you're about to get this phone call, so let me just put this up there for you. People tuning in from all over around here. Odessa Rose, long time no see. Hold on. People liking what you're saying, Doc. I'm looking at the feedback here. There you go. That's right.
That's correct. Yes, thank you, Donnie.
I'm loving, quite often, Doc, too often we have people involved in politics who know nothing about business.
Mm-hmm.
As I started to show off, I was talking about what they call at Morgan State University in graduate school, international studies, the interrelationship of politics and economics. They call it political economy. And I was saying in the beginning of the show that a lot of times we know to pull a lever, to pull a lever for this person, for that person. What we do not understand as a people, with all due respect, is the ask. We don't ask for anything, we don't get anything. You get what you negotiate. We don't have a list of demands. My demands, for instance, for the next governor of Maryland, and I don't care if it's Westmore, I don't care if it's Peter Franchot, Doug Gansler, the Republican side. We need a task force for Baltimore City and Prince George's County. These two Black school jurisdictions are 23 and 24. You say you up here, we down here. We need a task force specifically, especially anybody talking about blacks. Black people make up 30% of the state. We need a task force for those two majority Black school jurisdictions. We need that. And if they can't do it, please get this up. And don't come on this show, because for too many years, over and over and over, new sports gambling is coming. 1973, the lottery money for education, money for education. I'm sick of it. Nobody takes responsibility for these schools. Nobody. No elected official. Every time they run, education. It's a crock of crap, because we're producing an inferior product through Baltimore City Public Schools. And Prince George's, they can talk about their own, but it's refreshing to hear an African-American man who has served this country, put his life on the line, come back home and be involved in both business and public education.
Well, thank you, Donnie. And I'm a real believer that we have to start with education. because we have to put people out in the industry who can perform the jobs. But then we have to provide quality job opportunities. You know, Donnie, I hear all the time, oh, we have a homeless issue, or we have a problem with transportation, we have a problem with affordable health care. Those are all symptoms of one thing. They're symptoms of poverty. And so we can continue to try to fight the symptoms year after year after year, or we can get to the core of the problem. And the core of the problem, and I brought this forth in Frederick County, the core of the problem is we got to be able to provide quality jobs for people. We got to be able to provide jobs that provide health care for people. And the way to do that is to start focusing on developing entrepreneurship. Because one of the things I said in Frederick County, if we have incubator programs, I mean, we have a huge county, the largest land mass of any other county in the state of Maryland. If we can set up an incubator program where we help entrepreneurs to start a business and help them to survive the first 2 years of business, when they get out there into the community, they're now going to be bringing jobs into the community. They're going to be hiring people, and they themselves will have a more stable financial situation. And so we need to get away from, go and work for Walmart, go and work for, McDonald's. There's nothing wrong with those jobs, but we need to push people into a higher level, because that's what's going to take away some of the we're always going to have some level of people who need some support, because not everybody has the same level of capabilities. And there are some who genuinely need that support. But we can minimize that by providing more opportunities for people to stand up on their own and do some of the great things for themselves by giving them quality jobs and benefits.
Now, Doc, this is still baseball season, and this is your first time on the show, so I'm going to warn you. I throw a mean curveball. Meaning you thought you came on the show to talk about politics. Well, we about to see how you handle this curveball. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Now, first, let me just say, I hear people say all the time, not you, of course. I hear our people say, I'm not into politics. And I remind them that everything we do is political. Everything we do is governed by some type of law or politics. Last Monday, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, she sends out a tweet. I find out about this on Tuesday. The Afghanis have been airlifted into America. The Central Americans have come to the American border. They still bringing Afghanis in from Afghanistan. But last Monday, pictures started going viral of our Haitian brothers and sisters at the border being ransacked by men on horseback with whips. What did you think when you saw that?
Donnie, I was appalled. I was absolutely appalled that here we are in 2021, and this is how our security forces treat human beings. Not rallying up cattle, but human beings. And Donnie, when you looked at the picture and saw that what they were carrying was food trays, they were just trying to survive. They had already been through hell, but yet in trying to survive, they get treated like animals as opposed to human beings. It's a sad day in our nation and in our world when we take an opportunity to abuse people who have already been downtrodden, as opposed to trying to support these people. They weren't trying to run into trouble. They were trying to run away from trouble. They wanted a better life for themselves and for their children. That's nothing more than what the rest of us want, a better life for ourselves and our children. And to get treated like that in 2021 is appalling. And I really hope that our leadership does not take these weak excuses about, well, no, they were handling the job the way they needed to, and it's a difficult task to try to handle something. Forget that. The bottom line is they're human beings, and they should be treated like human beings, not like cattle. That was inexcusable. And I hope, and I saw that our vice president made a comment. I hope there's continued pressure on those forces that this is not how we behave. And again, like you said, it didn't happen to any other race. But as soon as there's a situation with a minority Black race, all of a sudden the procedures change and we handle them differently. It's appalling. It's absolutely appalling.
Well, I can tell you this, Doc. I'm a student of history, and I don't know if you picked up a copy of my book. I Am Black Wall Street just came out in June. But on page 37, I talk about Haiti and the significance of Haiti to our people.
Mm-hmm.
Haiti led the first and most successful insurrection in the Western Hemisphere. So of all of the Black people that those border patrolmen could mess with, they got the right one, baby. Haiti ain't no joke. I don't know what you heard. The rapper said, I don't know what you heard about me, but them Haitians, a different breed. Those are descendants of Toussaint Louverture and Jean-Jacques Dessalines that spanked Napoleon Bonaparte, one of the greatest military strategists of modern history. Spanked them, sent them home crying. But anyway, so what is the demographics like in Frederick?
So it's about 10% Black African American, about 10% Hispanic Latino, and then about 5% Asian, another 1 to 2% others, and then the rest about 70% white.
What is the critical or two of the top issues there in Frederick County?
So depending on who you talk with, the top two can switch off based on who's talking. But I can tell you that from my understanding, one of the issues is growth. There is a segment of the community that's no growth, and there's a segment that wants to grow. And so one of the things I've said to people is we have the largest land mass of any other county in the state of Maryland. We can have both. We can have communities where houses are separated, plenty of green space, and everybody's happy. And we can have communities like the downtown Frederick, where it's vibrant, where we can have, those structures where, you can have the apartment complexes and your businesses and everything's thriving and how we don't have to have one way or the other.
You have a lot of people who work in Washington, D.C. who live in Frederick.
Yes.
How significant is that demographic?
So,
meaning, do you see more people who work in Washington or even Washingtonians who are moving to Frederick because of space availability? DC is very expensive.
Yeah, we do see a lot of people moving into the Frederick community. As you mentioned, one, because it's more affordable. And two, we're right up the road. And as they're working now to widen 270 up to Frederick, that's going to ease some of the traffic congestion, because that's the biggest complaint about working in DC and leaving Frederick. But once that's resolved, I think you're going to see even more growth happening in the Frederick community. Because again, we're affordable, we have great schools, and it's a great community. So
for those who've never been to Frederick, tell me a couple of the landmarks that we should know about. So the next time I come to Frederick Camp, I need to go where besides the buffet?
So I'll tell you something unique about Frederick County. We're considered a small community, but we're not. We have over 200,000 people in this community. And the other thing about Frederick is, even though we're considered small, we have our own airport. We have our own baseball team. We have our own zoo. We have a lot of things that a larger community tend to have, but we're still considered a small community. The other thing about Frederick that people need to know is our downtown area is really thriving. Our Carroll Creek project is a great place where you can be beside a creek and enjoy festivities on a regular basis. Our downtown scene, we do not have any name brand restaurants. They're all locally born restaurants where you can go from one door to the next and won't find the same type of menu.
Well, you know, I gotta say something. I had somebody visiting from DC, and well, actually they live in Bowie, and they were saying that's what's different about Baltimore. The unique independent restaurants and often the history that's with them. And they said that in Prince George's County, for instance, they have just chain restaurants. And I never would have thought it. I never really noticed that. The significance of having independent, culturally sound restaurants with years of service in the community. They are really special to have.
They are indeed. They are. And a lot of people come to Frederick because of that, and they come to our downtown area and enjoy it.
So tell me about some of these restaurants. Now you're talking about the language. I'm all about the food, baby.
Well, I'm not sure if you've heard of Jerk and Jive. That's one of our minority-owned restaurants, and they actually have 2 locations here in Frederick. And you may hear about them often. Great food.
You know, I love jerk.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. But we have all types. We have one called Firestone, which is another favorite. Another place called Hooch and Banner. There are just so many. I can't even begin to name them all. So the other thing I want to talk about Frederick County is we have a vibrant agricultural and farming community.
I was going to ask you about the fresh fruits and vegetables because we have a food desert here in Sandtown. We have at least a 2-mile stretch where you won't find a grape, a plum, a pear, or an apple, but you find fried chicken up and down the street and Chinese food. And life is bigger than a steak sub, you know?
Yes, yes. So, but our agricultural and farming community is very vibrant. As you know, we just had our Great Frederick Fair, and that's a great chance to showcase. And I took my grandkids there, and we got a chance to see the different animals and enjoy the food and even get on some of the rides. So again, Frederick has a lot to offer. And I want to make sure as the next county executive that we not only offer that to certain segments of the community, but there are a lot of segments of our community that has not taken advantage of all the great things here in the community. For one, because communication is not effective. We don't get the word out to our minority communities about all the opportunities for contracts, for services and support, for new programs. I mean, that communication needs to improve. And
I want to improve the communication on how to get some of them tomatoes and cucumbers down here to Sandtown. I mean, you know, the food bank is nice, but I need you to help me to fix this food desert in West Baltimore. We need some fresh fruits and vegetables, big brother. I'm dead serious.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we have quite a few of those up here in Frederick County, and we can talk about that offline because I can connect you with some of the local farmers in the agriculture community.
Big brother, they got what they call a farmer's market in my neighborhood, and ain't one damn fruit or vegetable. I don't know what kind of farmers they talking about, but the farmers markets, you know what I'm saying? That's that old trickery. That's the Baltimore City bus. In the streets, they call it a blicky. You thought you got this, but you got that. I think in business and economics, because you're a business major from Hampton University, they call it bait and switch. How you gonna have a farmer's market and ain't got one damn banana?
Well, come to Frederick, you get all that fresh fruit.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. A lot of people in West Baltimore may not have transportation to Frederick. If they have transportation, they can go to the Giant over on 33rd Street. So that's a serious conversation I want to have with you. Let me ask you, have you been, what type of response have you been getting from the political fathers, the political mothers of Frederick?
Yeah, so I've gotten a lot of very positive feedback. Of course, everybody can agree that we need to stay focused with education, especially with what happened with the pandemic. I mean, we've taken steps backwards from an academic standpoint as a part of the pandemic. A lot of them also agree that we need to focus on our small business community. The fact that I am trying to open up opportunities for more of our citizens is another key piece. And then the fact that I understand business and finance, because running a county is like running a business. You have to be able to grow and develop people, negotiate contracts, develop and manage a budget, communicate, your vision to the community, and get people behind that vision to make it successful. And so, I mean, a lot of people look at that and say, yes, you are the most qualified candidate. But of course, we still have in our country the politics that take place. You have Democrats and Republicans, and you have, the far left and the midstream Democrats and the far right and midstream Republicans. And so there are people who will find other reasons to not vote for me. But I can tell you that those who look into my background, look into my service and support into the community, look into my experience, will see that I am the best qualified candidate to take this county forward. And Donnie, if you know anything about me, I don't give up. I will fight to the end for what I believe in. I believe that.
So when we first transitioned into this interview, Dr. Taborn, Marsha, Deepa, they were talking about healthcare. Now, you're a board member of the hospital there in Frederick, correct?
That's correct.
Any thoughts on the healthcare delivery system? For instance, seniors have been heavily impacted by COVID. People who are hospitalized have been heavily impacted. For instance, here in Baltimore, you couldn't visit a person in a nursing home. You couldn't visit. So our seniors were isolated. A lot of people died alone. I had a brother-in-law. He died alone. Any thoughts on the healthcare delivery system there in Frederick?
Yeah, well, I can tell you that Frederick, our hospital, the Frederick Health Hospital, is a great health institution, and we're doing a great job. But we're also faced with the challenges, with this new mandate that employees of the hospital has to get vaccinated. That's going to have an impact. Hospitals are already short-staffed, trying to provide support for people needing health care. With this new mandate, some people will, quit their jobs, and some will move on to other places that may not have that mandate. And so
all because they don't want to take the vaccine.
All because they don't want to take the vaccine.
It's kind of hard to tell people to take the vaccine when one hasn't taken it themselves. That's hypocritical.
Yeah. And that's part of the challenge that the healthcare systems across this country will face with that mandate. However, I think it's a necessary mandate, because if you're going to be providing support to my loved one and you're susceptible to the virus, then I really don't want you, supporting my loved one. I'd rather have someone that's going to be available. I mean, if you look at it this way, Donnie, people are looking at football and saying they need to be vaccinated, and that's a sport for entertainment. Shouldn't our healthcare providers be vaccinated to provide health care
first?
So I agree with that philosophy. Unfortunately, it will have some impact, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. But I think even beyond that, healthcare, we do need to focus on healthcare. I can tell you a couple of things that I've been concerned about with healthcare. Our healthcare workers are also struggling with the ability to be able to afford to live in the communities that they're providing healthcare, just as our educators are struggling to be able to afford to live in the community that they're providing education. We have to, as a society, put more value on those people who are serving our communities on a regular basis. And so one of the things I want to do when I get in the office is to develop that level of higher respect for those people who serve our communities. So
I heard you mention, and I mentioned baseball, the curveball, but you mentioned that you have a team there at Frederick. Tell us about it.
Oh, we have the Frederick Keys, but there are some things that are happening in baseball that that may cause the Frederick Keys to no longer be part of the Orioles organization. But right now, we still have a baseball team, and it's been an enjoyable event having them in Frederick County. People come up from far and wide. We've even had presidents at the games before. So.
Tell me about that Frederick County Fair. What's the highlights?
This year was really awesome. They did a really good job of providing a lot of exhibits. They do have entertainment. They have live bands performing. Now, most of the bands are in a specific genre, and we need to look at that. But, you know, for example, we had ZZ Top this year performing at the fair. And we've had a gospel group to perform at the fair. They have your typical smash up derby and tractor pulls and those types of events as well. But the animals, I mean, again, my kids really enjoyed watching animals. You can come to the Frederick Fair and see a cow give birth. And that's something a lot of our children have never seen. And then they have auctions, and the steer that won this year was $20,000 steer. Someone made a cake that made $2,500 as an auction for the cake. So it's some great things that happen. Then they have all kind of rides for the kids to get into. So you get the agricultural piece, you get the farming piece, and then you get the fun and you get the food.
Okay, well, I'm gonna get back to this food. My mom was big on canning, on pickling. What did the women and the cooks, you know, the people that deal with food up there, how's your preserves, strawberry preserves? Do they have any pickling contests?
They do have those type contests. I can honestly say I haven't spent a lot of time observing that.
Yeah, especially in the middle of COVID, because these are things that become useful. Doc, I gotta tell you, because the tractor trailer drivers, the lack thereof, products, foods are not making it to the shelves as in pre-COVID. The stores, they don't have as much stuff as they used to have. Final question.
Yeah. Well, that's a reality.
Have you experienced that there?
We have, just as everyone else has experienced it. That's a reality. With COVID, you know, there's less stuff being manufactured. Shipping is a problem. So yes, there is a shortage in a lot of things that we're all comfortable with and used to having at our beck and call. But that's a reality. Again, once we get out of COVID, hopefully those things will return to normal.
Okay. Your final thoughts before we say goodbye?
My final thought is, first of all, thank you so much, my brother, for inviting me on to the show. I've enjoyed the dialogue and even the challenging questions. And I believe that that's what we need to do. We need to cause people to think and not get comfortable with just saying what they want to say, but deal with the issues that are at hand. And so thank you for stepping up to the plate and having a program that deals with the real issues, and invite guests like the previous guest that talks about Black engineering, which is something we don't hear a lot about. But we do need to be pushing our children to take on those roles in engineering, to challenge themselves, because, Donnie, they are capable. They are capable. They just need to be told that they are capable and given the support they need to be successful. So thank you again for all you do and your guests that were on earlier. I look forward to seeing some of your future shows. This is my first time, and now I see the value that you bring not only to the Baltimore community, but to the Washington metropolitan area. So thank you, my brother, for all you do.
Good deal. Captain, thank you for your time, and we wish you the best. There's your contact information. Friends of Daryl Boffman, 301-639-7453. We'll be back tonight, folks, with Black Business Roundtable live from Oakland, California. My name's Donnie Glover, and we're wishing you a very powerful day. Good morning, world.